Way back in my high school days, I had this Muslim teacher who wears her hijab all the time, and we are curious why. So she explained that Muslim women choose to wear a hijab for many reasons. Some see it as a sign of passage into adulthood, show cultural pride, or for modesty and privacy from unrelated males. And that point, we gathered another information. We were taught a lesson but not related to her subject. And that's about our second topic for today. The various institutions work together for the betterment of society. In the story, the education and religious institution were used by one person, which is the teacher, who gives awareness regarding religious beliefs and practices. Now, let's dig deeper. Structural functionalism. The society is made up of various institutions that work together in cooperation. Next, parts of society are interdependent and work together for the good of the whole. So the keyword here is work together, means helping, participating, cooperation, and such. And we can ask why, for what? It is to promote solidarity and stability that society can benefit. So, the internal rules, norms, values, and regulations provide for the maintenance of society. Next, Parsons' famous AGIL. What is this? So, it is the four functional imperatives that are necessary for all systems. This AGIL is the systematic depiction of certain societal functions which every society must meet to be able to maintain a stable social life. So, sino ba namang hindi gusto ng stable social life, di ba? So, let us follow this AGIL. Let us start with adaptation. The A. It is also called the economy. A system must cope with external situational exigencies. It must adapt to its environment and environment to its needs. So, from the word adaptation, it is an action or process of adapting. So, this adaptation is an external problem that expects problem solving. So, where the system identifies local cultural conditions and problems within the community and adjustments the system to suit the environment. So, for instance, the technology. Technology is very relevant nowadays, and our ancestors or parents who are still alive adapt to the current situation. Just like my mom, who starts with the keypad into the touchscreen phone and also uses applications to communicate with her friends. So my mom adapts to her environment and the environment provides for its needs. Next, G, goal attainment. It is also called polity. A system must define and achieve its primary goals. It is another external problem that seeks a solution through mobilizing resources and communities. The procedures for establishing goals and deciding on priorities between goals are institutionalized in the form of political systems. So the government not only set goals but also allocate resources to achieve them. Next, I, integration. It is also called societal community or the legal system. A system must regulate the interrelationship of its parts. So the integration must be mutual to the adaptation, goal attainment, and latency. This integration refers primarily to the adjustment of conflict. So the legal norms define and standardize relations between individuals and between institutions. And so it reduces the potential for conflict. Lastly, L, the latency. A system must furnish, maintain, and renew both the motivation of individuals and the cultural patterns. So the keyword here is pattern of maintenance. The pattern of maintenance of the basic pattern of values, rules, or even institutionalized in the society. So the institutions that perform this function include the family, the educational system, and religion. For example, the museums, which we can maintain, throw back, and renew our knowledge about the works of the history artist. So, the age-old scheme is further exemplified in Parsons' definition of the four action systems. So, the age-old scheme and these four action systems were connected. So, let us start with action system. Handles the adaptation function by adjusting and transforming the external world. So it carries the material source of energy for the rest of the systems, which provide resources for us to adapt or adjust and transform the external world. Next, personality system performs the goal attainment function by defining system goals and mobilizing resources. So the motivational orientation was carried by actors of how we use the resources and preparing actions to meet our goals. Next, social system copes with the integration function by controlling its parts. So it carried the value orientations to the three other schemes, which was controlled to avoid conflicts. Lastly, cultural system performs the latency function by providing actors with the norms and values that motivate them for action. So it is patterned system of symbols, values, norms, and beliefs that provides the basis for social integration. Next, in this diagram, Parsons describes actors as constrained by social conditions and cultural values. So Parsons begins with the unique act. From the left side of the actor to the goal of the end, which is the straight line as you can see on the diagram, from actor to the goal. So this rational actor will use the rational means which is in the center to achieve goals, which maximize gains and minimize losses. For Parsons, individual acts are not so individual after all, but are very social. As we can see, the means of our social condition and culture have been put in action by the actor and have goals. Next, functional requisites of a social system. First, the social system must be structured so that they can operate compatibly with other systems. So, for example, racism is a social system problem. Yes, it can operate in other systems but not compatibly since it undermines social cohesion within a society or community. So, if a system is racist, then it can influence other systems too. Thus, it must be organized and fixed. Next, to survive, the social system must have the requisites from other systems. So, it is true and it is understandable. Next, the system must meet a significant proportion of the results of its actions. So this is true, no? For the system to reflect if the result of their action needs to improve or to maintain. Next, the system must elicit adequate participation from its members. So, as a leader in particular systems, we must use strategies to encourage our members to participate, such as doing the task convenient and fun. Next, it must have at least a minimum of control over potentially disruptive behavior becomes sufficiently disruptive behavior. So if the conflict becomes sufficiently disruptive, it must be controlled. Yes, it's true. When things messed up, there would be an action to control everything. Lastly, a social system requires a language to survive. Of course, language is the principal method of human communication. It connects us to other people, so it's very essential. The key principles of the functional perspective. So, first, interdependency. Every part of society is dependent to some extent on other parts of society. And what happens at one place has important effects on the other party. So, for example, banana growers are dependent on their suppliers of fertilizers. Also, farmers need to produce farm products for consumers to utilize. So, they show the dependent to the other party. Next, functions of social structure and culture. Each part of the social system exists. So I put the equal part, equal sign at the middle of the social structure and culture since they can function together in the society. And this serves some function, and this principle is true to both social structure and culture. So social structure refers to the organization of society, its institutions, social positions, and distribution of resources. While culture is a shared set of beliefs, language, rules, values, and knowledge among members of a particular society. Third, consensus and cooperation. So, consensus is a tendency to have certain basic values that nearly everyone in society agrees with. So, with consensus, cooperation can be achieved. Let us say, for example, the value of proper segregation of waste. So here in our community, the basic rule is the once a month checking of waste if it's segregated well. And everyone agreed. So the people's cooperation was observed by the word agreed. I agree, we agree. Lastly, equilibrium. A state of balance that will remain in that state until it is changed by a new condition. So there's always a need for balancing to commit to actions. So let us use the example of consensus and cooperation. To maintain proper waste segregation, they implement penalties and consistent monthly visit per house to check their garbages. So with that, it disciplines the people which results to equilibrium unless it was changed by a new condition. Parson believes that education is a vital part of a modern society. So we have here the key institution in a meritocratic selection process is schooling, where schooling performs an important function in the development and maintenance of a modern democratic society, especially concerning equality of opportunity for all citizens. So we have here maintenance of the democratic. So what is this? It is the respect for individuals and their right to make their own choices. So with this, it provides citizens with the knowledge and dispositions to participate actively in civic life. Next, maintenance of the technocratic society. So it is a form of government in which the decision maker or makers are selected based on their expertise in a given area of responsibility, particularly scientific or technical knowledge. So this provides students with the skills and positions to work in this kind of society where they are expert in this field or they are expert in this craft, which is the technology. So, this ends our structural functionalism topic. So, I hope that you have learned something. Now, interactionist theories to be discussed by Mr. Sam Kamumut.